Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Sub Valley Tech. Today we're going to talk about charging systems and batteries. Thing you want to check out when you take your bike out of storage and it's springtime and you want to ride, you want to check your battery, you want to check your charging system. You don't want to get somewhere and find out your bike's not going to start, or worse yet, have it die on you on the side of the road. I sent an email earlier about saying that you need to check that, and it dawned on me that somebody may not know how to do that got the email. And if some of you don't, well, here I'm going to give you a hand with that. First things first, what you need to do is locate your battery. And on this Harley, it's right here underneath the seat. Now refer to your own service manual for battery location and how to get to it. Second thing you're going to need is one of these cheap digital voltometers. I get these from Harbor Freight. They're about $4. If you want a nice one, it's like $8. They're not expensive. And start checking. First things first, check and make sure all your connections are tight on the battery cables. That one's a little loose. We're going to have to tighten it up. Check this one. Check them both. Make sure all your connections are tight. Also, make sure that they're free of corrosion. These look pretty good. They're free of corrosion. And then, of course, too, make sure the battery's not spitting out acid. And you'll see the acid. It'll look like white chunks of stuff that you really don't want to see that. Now, the first reading you're going to take off of this is the battery state at charge as it's just been sitting here. This bike hasn't been started since last night. I generally like to see anywhere from 12.5 to 13 volts. And this one at 12.9, it's in good shape. Okay? Now, go ahead and turn the key on. It should drop off a little bit. I just turned the key on this one, as you can see. Okay, it should drop off a little bit. While you're at it, go ahead and compare that to what your voltmeter says right here, if you're lucky enough to have one. And since these are pretty close, that voltmeter is probably a volt low on the thing. I'd rather have it that way. Show me a lower voltage than it is. I'll say it's, for the most part, accurate. Now, keep going with this. Don't stop there. I've disconnected the spark plug wires on this because we want to see what the cranking voltage is. So, that being the case, let's go ahead and crank the engine and see what it does. That's perfect. I like to see them over 10 volts when they're cranking. Minimum on that is 9 volts. After that, the computer starts having a problem, and so does the ignition coil. Now, I'll go ahead and reconnect the spark plug wire so the bike will start. And I'll tell you what we're going to be looking for once I get it started, because you may not be able to hear me. Once I start it up, we want to see it right around 14 to 14.5 volts, maybe even 14.8. And we're going to verify that on the gauge on the bike. Okay? So, here we go. Let's see what it does. That looks good. So does that. Now, stay put for a minute because I'm going to come back in a second and I'm going to show you how to test the charge light on these Harleys too, so that you can be sure that they're working. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, I promised you we were going to do one more thing to test the charging system and the gauges and stuff on this particular motorcycle. What we've done is we've deliberately disconnected the stator from the voltage regulator rectifier on this motorcycle. And you can see the voltage is still looking good at the battery. And this is what we have at the voltmeter. Now, let's fire it up. You're going to see that that voltmeter doesn't move. You see it's under 12. So you know you still got an issue there. Same thing with the DVOM here. With those things looking good and intact, you'll know your charging system's working and your battery's good, and you can depend on your bike to start whenever you want it to. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like my videos, tell me that. Give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. If you have any comments, well, heck, I'm open for those too. Thanks again.